Welcome to the Anime Podcast channel. My name is Benji. And stop playing with this man, dog. Stop playing with him, man. Stop playing with Kid too. Law and Kid go absolutely crazy this chapter. And regardless of me being a Law fan and actually thinking that he's the MVP of this chapter, I gained so much respect for Kid this chapter as well. Seemingly. Not too much, but I did gain respect for Kid this chapter. But the overall tone of this chapter was so cool, and it just kind of elevated the dynamic between Law and Kid further on in the story. And special shout out to my homie Rez on Twitter. He actually kind of elaborated a little bit more on the dynamic between Law and Kid and how it's so symbolic of this new pirate generation, more so the worst generation. Remaining resilient to the very end until you claim victory. Seeing this era of pirates, but more so Luffy, Law, and Kid, not being weak enough to have their spirits broken and to keep fighting no matter what, unlike Hawkins and Apu. And thank again to my homie Rez on Twitter. He actually brought up a very good point of how much importance Law's speech during Punk Hazard actually was to this very moment. And this chapter makes me 10 times more the Law fan than I already was. The only character within One Piece that I'm digging more than Law would probably be Sanji, obviously. I love me some Sanji. Sanji's my guy, so what can I say? But I will say this, I really hope to get a little bit more backstory on Kid, because, I am digging his character a little bit. I feel like if we get more backstory on his struggles throughout his life and his interaction with Shanks, as well as him losing his arm, I think that would be very nice to see with Kid's character. But like I said, I gained a lot of respect for Kid this chapter. Well, not a lot, but, a little. But without further ado, let's begin the chapter review, the main attraction. Now, first off, before we start, the Shonen Jump cover page as well as the colored cover page for One Piece this week are fire. If you see the drip that Zoro has in this cover spread, yo, the tech wear is absolutely incredible. Oda, you did it again. But to start the chapter, we first see that Onigashima is extremely close to the flower capital. And we actually see Momonosuke, and it's really nice to see him so determined and so willing in order to make sure that Onigashima doesn't fall on the flower capital. They really taking up the helm and taking up the responsibility for what it means to be a shogun. Now, interestingly enough, we see Momonosuke seem to have somebody call his name. Now, if you guys remember in chapter 1037, I can infer that this is probably Zunisha. Now, if Momonosuke were to ask Zunisha to take out all of the world government ships, then, ain't nobody gonna be taking over Wano anytime soon. But yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of Momo, and to seeing his development from kind of being a crybaby to now really taking up the responsibility in order to save the people of the Flower Capital is very good dynamic within Momo's character. But now, moving on to the big sauce of the chapter, we move on to Big Mom versus Law and Kid. And last that we left off with Big Mom being attacked by Kid with this raging metal bull that he created with his magnetism. And the weak ass crew members of both Law and Kid are celebrating like they did anything. And it's kind of funny, but you also see Big Mom absolutely crushed by this attack. But what makes this so funny is when all the commotion is happening and going on, Law and Kid have time to actually have some banter between each other. And I love this energy because it stays the same throughout the series. Law and Kid, they don't fuck with each other, but they gotta fuck with each other. But Law makes it a point and he says this: you wait for me to use my finisher, then you scoop in with the flashy move to take the credit for yourself. I'm not your opening act. And then Kid responds, who cares? Let it go. And this is funny because if you really think about it, I feel like Law, he knows that to significantly damage Big Mom, they have to work together. But he just doesn't like the fact that Kid is using these opportunities in order to get the last blow so he can take credit that he beat a Yonko. I found that very funny. And I think Law kind of knows. I think he's just kind of giving Kid some shit. But I don't know. I find this interaction between Law and Kid super funny. This is like more indulged into the dynamic between these two characters. And the banter actually goes on to the point where We know that Kid actually used a raging bull, but Law kind of makes fun of the fact that, oh, you used a bull this time, or you're going to use a hippopotamus next, or an elephant, just kind of, cracking jokes on this man. But as things kind of continue, we start to see Big Mom getting up, and she actually even recognizes how dangerous of a move Law's croom is to her. It shows so much internal damage that really, I don't even know how you can really power scale. If there are power scalers in the comments, go ahead and let me know. And I also want to know, like, what kind of level do you guys see Law at right now in the series? So in order to heal herself, Big Mom actually uses the Sora no Mi, and basically uses some of the life energy that she's gathered from certain things and engulfs it into her broken bones. And it's really crazy how much damage is being done to Big Mom at this point in time. Even seeing her broken bones, like her hand actually like broken in half, that's an incredible feat for both of these guys to pull off. But it's not only that, it's the fact that these Yonkos' durability, like Whitebeard, like Kaido, like Big Mom, all of these guys, they're so hard to take out. That's why no one has really, stood a chance all of these years when they've been in power. But we get a little bit more dialogue between Law and Kid, and Law makes it apparent that he's almost depleted of all of his energy. And he has one last attack that he wants to do in order to get Big Mom. And he wants Kid to follow up. And Kid obviously doesn't like taking orders, so he gives Law a little bit of shit. And Kid retaliates saying, "I told you quit giving me orders." But Big Mom isn't playing around anymore. And she combines her homies of Parametheus and Napoleon in order to make this massive sword that is kind of engulfed in fire and I believe electricity. And it's called the Macer Saber. I think that's what it's called. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry. And after this, she goes for the attack on Kid, who's still on his raging bull at this time. And we get this crazy sick panel of Kid jumping off of his raging bull and Big Mom with her Macer Saber. I think I'm saying that right. And basically it's like this cool little double panel of both of them coming together to clash with one another. But Kid actually gets into his bag a little bit, and he uses this technique called a sign. So basically he puts an S on Big Mom's forehead and an N on a tower that's nearby. And this ability creates this magnetic effect, having Big Mom be stuck to the tower. And this makes Big Mom wide open for an open attack from the raging bull that Kid has created. But Big Mom, she ain't no bitch. She flips the tower and uses the same tower as a shield. But after this, bro, she unleashes this attack called Mother's Misery on Kid. And basically we see this personified, manifested version of, I believe, is Mother Carmel. I'm not 100% sure, but if it is, it's crazy. But like I said, this attack is so dope because it's like the embodiment of this woman that is basically like a combination of fire, I think, and electricity. But it's very dope. But like I said, it looks kind of like Mother Carmel. I'm not 100% sure, but it's very interesting to see kind of how this is manifested, or when's the last time she's ever used this ability. And I'll say this, Big Mom has at least the best utility as far as Yonkos go in the series that we've seen so far. She's very versatile. She knows how to use her Devil Fruit to the absolute T, and she's incredibly strong with Conqueror's Haki as well. But after Big Mom uses Mother's Misery, she's forgetting somebody. She's forgetting my boy Law, Trafalgar Law, the GOAT. The GOAT! And we see Law use Takte, and basically he lifts this huge concrete pillar right on Big Mom's head. And Law proceeds to engulf his sword in the same Kurumo attack that we've seen a little bit earlier on in the series. And Kid kind of seems dumbfounded at the fact that he doesn't necessarily know what Law is doing, but he does know that this is probably his cue to get ready for his final attack as well. And Law stabs Big Mom right in the chest, and as we know before, the initial stab doesn't necessarily hurt, but the thing that comes after it is the thing that's the most painful. And this attack is so damaging that Big Mom seems so distressed that Law is actually going to do it again. And this is kind of crazy because if you really think about it, her being one of the 4 Yonkos of the seas, and this attack giving her so much problems, just makes Law's feats so much more important. But Law does something a little bit different that we haven't seen him do yet with his Krum attack. And he actually extends his sword all the way down to the basement of Onigashima. But not only that, even deeper past the basement of Onigashima, all the way down to the Flower Capital. And I'll also add this, while this is happening, Big Mom is punching the shit out of Law, And the thing about it is, like I said before, the resiliency of both Law and Kid is very immense. Law does not move. He knows that this is going to be his final attack, and he has to give it everything that he has. And Law is willing to eat all of these blows in order to land this final attack. And Law finally performs his puncture willy, and it shocks all of Onigashima and the flower capital to its core. Almost on the same caliber, I feel like, as Whitebeard's Quake fruit. And goddamn, Law is such a badass, man. I can't even express how much of a feat this is, especially having a Yonko in so much fear of this attack and this ability. And some of y'all not gonna like this one, but if we gonna be honest, Law is stronger than Zoro.
What did you say, nigga?
And this is just my opinion, so no boos. But if we're going to be 100% honest, I really do feel like Law is more of a utility guy when it comes to battle. And I don't know, he may be a stronger swordsman than Zoro as well. So there's that. I don't know. I'm just saying. But on a serious note, I do feel like Law is such a fascinating character and an OP character as well. Somebody who's so strong that I don't think Oda can really give him Conqueror's Haki, because then he'll be absolutely OP. But Law in this series has been so enjoyable to watch. And even in Wano, I would say he's an MVP of Wano. Him and Sanji, you know me. Those are my goats, so you know what I like. And obviously Luffy doing his thing. I can't wait to get more into the Luffy-Kaido battle as well. Now, Big Mom is massively weakened, and we see all kinds of blood spewing from her mouth, which is crazy. Like I said before, she's one of the 4 Yonkos of the sea. But Law, having known that this is his final attack, goes ahead and gives Kid the order to use his trump card. And Kid goes crazy using a electromagnet cannon that is directed right at Big Mom. And it looked fire, no cap. I like it. I like the design. It looks dope. And right before this, we actually get a little bit of dialogue from Big Mom. And she's kind of being a little ignorant at the fact that this may be her demise. And we see Big Mom say this: "You think you can take me down? Give it your best shot. I am Big Mom." And then Kid says this: "That's why I'm going to finish you off." And he used an attack called the Damned Punk. And he blasts a beam right at Big Mom, straight through the chest. She looks in a complete dismay. And then we end the chapter with Law saying, "This is the end of your era." The GOATs! The GOATs, man. I love this chapter. This chapter was amazing. And no break next week, so we get to see the aftermath of what happens next week. But despite the rivalry between Kid and Law, I feel like this makeshift teamwork really came into play in order to defeat a Yonko. If she is defeated, we don't know that yet. Now, I do feel like Law was the MVP of this chapter, and more so of this battle because of his feats. But, not gonna lie, I have a newfound respect for Kid in the slightest. Obviously him coming out of the woodworks and making sure he utilized his trump card at the right time. All of this matters in the battle right now. Now, do I believe Big Mom is finished? I do. And the reason I say this, I don't think you can have such a badass line from Law at the end of that chapter just for Big Mom to pop up and, come back and just murk both of them, because this was their last attacks. I don't see them coming back at all. Maybe Kid has a couple more tricks in his bag, but I don't think Law's coming back. But one more thing that I noticed, now, if you guys noticed the OP for One Piece, the opening, the latest one, we do see one kind of frame of a beam being shot at the flower capital. Now, a lot of people are speculating that this may be Kid's attack, or it could be Law's attack. I'm more so leaning towards Kid's attack because of the purple kind of hue that's on the beam. But I don't know, man. I'm very excited about this chapter. This chapter was so enjoyable. I really like the fact that Big Mom, no matter what it seemed like, she always seemed like she felt stronger than Kid and Law. And this passing of the baton between generations and eras. Even I believe Big Mom even says in one of the quotes, she says that they've been ruling for decades, even since their mothers have been giving them milk. And that's kind of crazy because no one has ever stood a chance at even approaching, these Yonkos and thinking of destroying them or thinking of taking their thrones as emperors. So just seeing how all of this is kind of, laying out for us to kind of really indulge in. It's so enjoyable, and I really love this chapter. But with that being said, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And who do you think was the MVP of this chapter? And do you think Big Mom is really defeated? And last but not least, who's the better swordsman, Law or Zoro? But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into this episode, this chapter review. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.